Welcome back, everybody. You're watching the qualifiers for Pakistan's biggest LAN event ever. Once again, we just concluded with the first matchup, which was between Team Exploit and Team Perfectionists. And now, we're back with more action. It's Team Fear Legends versus WDR. But before that happens, it's Waldeity once again, joined by none other than Tultris, who's going to tell you a little bit more about Galaxy Racer.
Yeah, and I mean, I just can't get over it, the fact that the prize pool of this tournament, everything, it just seems... it just seems so huge. But, a bit about Galaxy Racers, guys. I mean, sure, they've entered Pakistan in a huge way. I mean, the biggest way we've seen so far. But, they're a really big esports organization, not just in the region, but all across the world. I mean, fielding esports teams, such as their Enigma Galaxy team in Dota, who is competing at a Tier 1 division in TPC. They have a Tier 1 League of Legends roster. They have a PUBG roster. I think they have rosters across 8 different esport titles. That is massive.
Yeah, that is nutty. And now there's investments into Pakistan as well. There is 20 million rupees up for grabs across 4 games within Pakistan, the LAN Finals of which will be held in January. So, Tultris, just looking at Valorant, there's 5 million rupees up for grabs. Like, what do you think about that?
I mean, when you compare that with the fact that the last biggest prize pool was like 8 lakhs, which is like
I think it was
5
around.
times as less.
I think the second biggest tournament ever might be at around 1 million. So that's 5 times more.
5 times as big, man. And when you consider
that's just
the fact
Valorant.
That's just Valorant, right? The PUBG prize pool is twice that. Like, it's at 1 crore. Like,
man, I wish I was a player.
Like Galaxy Racers, I obviously it's a bit too early to say it, but it just seemed like, this could potentially be a full-time thing for the pro players, especially if they are competing for hundreds of thousands of dollars, then, why not?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, especially when you look at some of the circumstances around Pakistani gamers, right? It's just from a societal and family standpoint, it's so difficult to convince everybody else that gaming is your actual job. And when prize pools like this one are being distributed, I don't think anybody's going to have a problem agreeing with you.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's parents are going to go like, you should opt for more
maybe leave
careers
10 million rupees on the table.
Yeah,
let's not do that.
Being a doctor doesn't pay as much. Or let's be honest.
Oh, man, I really know that came straight from the heart.
It did.
Oh,
it did,
God.
Unfortunately. That's why I'm sitting here in this chair rather than back at the hospital. But... But, back to the tournament, I'm really glad, one of the things that you were mentioning, the things that, is sort of the bane of esports in just about any third world country where there's not a lot of stability going around, whether that's society or societal pressures or whether that's, something as small as power outages and internet disconnectivity. But, I'm really glad that Galaxy Racer is giving this opportunity, presenting this in such a stable way that it really makes you think that this could be, video gaming can be a practical approach to life.
Absolutely, but now we've got to dig into the guts of the rest of the day because there is one best of 3 remaining, and that is between Team WDR and Fear Legends, as we've talked about a little bit before. Now, you know what? Fear Legends, we kind of talked about them a little bit at the start of the day as well, but I think it's best we dissect it once more. Fear Legends, they're a team that obviously is composed around that core of Trans and Criminal, adding on Hats as well, who is a very experienced player. I think he was coaching quite a few young players as well at some point. And Casper and Trick, they're very individually skilled players that are going to be completing that core lineup. But there are quite a few question marks here because we're not quite sure how this tournament is going to, how this lineup is going to perform as far as longevity is concerned.
Absolutely, and I mean, when you talk about question marks, I'm a bit curious to see how the roster of WDR is going to face up against, Trick and Criminal, mostly because we haven't seen a lot of WDR, right? They haven't really performed or competed rather in many of the previous tournaments such as Galaxy or Infinity Cup or even the Jazba Cups, but I'm hoping that, they have a few tricks up their sleeve because they will certainly need it. They are up against Trick. They are up against Criminal, and these guys, over on the composition of VRN, sure, they had more players, but they gave Team Exploit quite a tough time, and Hats, he was previously playing for Salt Esports, so this is a renowned team. This is quite, in fact, as far as star power goes, they have quite a bit of it over at Fear Legends.
Absolutely, and there's no denying it at all. I think it's easy to discount the Fear Legends name simply because it's not very prevalent in Pakistani Valorant. But if you look at the players behind them, there's quite a bit to go on about. But before that, if this particular match is in your fancy, be sure to check out tomorrow's match as well, because there are going to be a couple best of threes. It's Team Salt and Team Arrow playing versus their respective opponents. Of course, I did mention their names because they are the big dogs, but right now, we've got a very spicy matchup on our hands. It's Fear Legends versus Team WDR. Now, WDR, you said that we don't really know too much about them, and I'm going to agree with you on that because, well, I don't know anything about them. With the exception of maybe having seen Dexter and Maverick a couple times in a few teams here and there, I really don't know how this lineup is going to perform. So there's two storylines I'm sort of going with in my head. It's either that this is just going to be a complete stomp, this is just Fear Legends' way of qualifying in a very comfortable way, or is WDR showing us a massive upset and maybe we see some new faces on LAN, which would be really surprising because from a story perspective, that would be crazy, right? I mean, Trans not being at a LAN Final, how's that going to happen?
Yeah, I mean, it will definitely be a first, but Team WDR, they have a long way to go, especially considering that the maps we're looking at, first pick Icebox, this was the map in which Trans gave one hell of a fight to Team Exploit. I think they almost lost that match simply because Trans knew how to play around it, simply because this is a map where you go for those flanks, you go for those retakes, and it's a map that after all of your utility has gone out, you now rely on your mechanical skill, right, past the utility. So that's where Trick really does that's where Trans rather really does shine. So WDR, they're going to have their hands full with this one.
Yeah, back in the first half of this year when Campus Clutch was being played out, I think Icebox was that one decider map that Trans completely cleaned house on. He looked like a completely different machine as to everybody else on the server, and that's why he was even able to qualify. It was just an insane map, or even an insane series throughout. So I'm really looking forward to how the squad of Fear Legends is going to perform on Icebox, because we haven't really seen too much of them just yet, and I'm really happy we're getting to see them in this tournament. And they technically get a bit of a warm-up before moving on up against the big dogs. And I know this might sound like I'm discrediting WDR somewhat, but if they manage to beat Fear Legends, that just really adds so much more oomph to their gameplay, to their story, right? I don't think anybody's expecting Fear Legends to not even qualify for the LAN.
Yeah, and I mean, when you talk about runs where, the underdog, everyone likes to root for the underdog. And Team WDR, I mean, sure, across generally all esports, you do make for a very well underdog story. You see it in just about every esport where you do have the potential for a random team, a team of unknowns coming in and actually taking games off of the top dog. And it's something that, I can't obviously say that is going to happen, but I can very well say that I would love to see that happen,
Oh, yeah, I think you and I are both really big fans of upsets, so I wouldn't be sad about that at all. I'm just a sucker for them. I love seeing it happen, and I really like seeing new faces on LAN. It's always incredible to see young talent teams that haven't gotten a chance to prove themselves before, so that would be a sight for sore eyes. But remember, guys, when there are massive tournaments like this one happening, especially like with the kinds of Galaxy Racer investing in Pakistan, viewership is key. So if you're tuned in right now, make sure you go ahead and tell a friend. Make sure you're commenting down below. Make sure you are spreading the word about this event, because that is what really matters at the end of the day. When you're talking about big tournaments, when you're talking about LANs, it really always just comes down to that viewership. So be sure to interact in that regard. But Talha, talking a little bit more about the game, do you know... Is there really any information you have on WDR? Because personally, I haven't seen much of it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not too sure how they're going to play it, but definitely, they have made it to the quarterfinals. That's a long way that they've played. They've played against, dozens of teams to have reached this stage, and the fact that they've been able to do it tells me that, at the very least, they are a very competent roster. Sure, they might not be able to beat Team Exploit, but Team Fear Legends, unless yeah, but they can very well take this game against Fear Legends in the first place.
Yeah, but we do get a chance to look at the agent select now, getting our hands dirty with it. Both teams, of course, they're going to pick Sage. Of course, there's going to be a Killjoy on the side of Fear Legends. But I think the one consistent thing on Icebox is always going to be that Sage and that Viper pick, right? You're never going to let go of that duo. You know that Viper is so important with her ultimate, with her walls, allowing you to get onto the B side. If you look at Sage, she can very easily block off the tunnel towards middle. Her revives can be so useful. The heals will allow you to take a great, to make great retakes happen, especially because it'll allow for more longevity as far as duels are concerned on those big rotates. So it's simply something you're never, Sage is simply something you're never going to let go of, especially with all the utility, you get with, in terms of getting the bomb down, actually.
Yeah, and I mean, I hope both of these teams were looking at the first best of 3 that happened, because we are going to be seeing the same maps being played out. I mean, not just Icebox, we are going to go for the Bind map as well. But, you know, this time around, the attackers, they don't have a Killjoy on their side. And, you know, we talked about this, the lack of the Killjoy on this map, especially on the defending side. Sure, it's not going to hurt them all that much this time around, but it might prove to be quite troublesome.
It is going to be a bit of a slow round starting things off. Moving towards A, the Viper wall already being deployed. That does signify what's going to happen. But it could be a fake as well, only leaving 2 players. Tucked in, WDR, they're trying to sort of package this idea that maybe it's a B and A play, but the bomb, it will slowly be teetering itself towards the A site. There's going to be a lot for Fear Legends to digest here as they wait.
Oh, that recon bolt.
Oh, yeah, that's going to give up so much. That is Trick being spotted. The recon drone also makes things a little bit easier for them, but there are ample rotations just in time for Fear Legends. Hats, nice little kill to start things off, ducks himself into the corner of the wall. Criminal gets a couple shots in. Oh, no. Got with his pants down. That got incredibly dicey. I expected Criminal to do more off of that.
Yeah.
But no.
Now the plant is going to come out now, so it's a 2v3 retake. 2 of the players are very low. The Sova, not a lot of HP. He's on red health. The Sage, not enough to heal him in time. And with the Reyna falling as well, this might be a round that goes in favor of Fear Legends. They've pushed the attackers, they've pushed WDR to the long position, pushed them at the back of the side, but they don't have a Viper to stop this diffuse. And with the wall up, that's going to be the half diffuse. But looks like Fear Legends are not going to be, or rather Team WDR, they're not going to be able to stop it. I like how Fear Legends pushed them to the back of the site, and with the Viper's wall, they got enough coverage to go for that diffuse.
Yeah, the retake was nearly flawless. And by the way, guys, I know you guys have probably noticed I'm a little bit under the weather, so excuse me if I cough or something somewhere in the middle. I'll try to move as far away from the microphone as possible, as to not infect the viewers, hopefully. But yes, I think the weather's just been generally terrible, right, Talha?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was 16 degrees for like 5-6 days, and it went straight to 25.
Yeah, it's just not really doing wonders for my throat. Plus, I just came back from a bit of a trip as well, so I think I'm not feeling too well after that. But regardless, back into the game.
Team WDR, they are going to choose to execute back onto the same site.
Adds bit of damage done, but he can't really do too much off of it. Eventually gets taken down by Cap Toxic. Eventually punished for his presence, but Fear Legends, they look pretty solid here. They are not allowing WDR to get anything done. It's just Criminal. Nice and easy, keeping 4 players alive, but it did get a bit dicey, didn't it, Taha? I mean, if you look at the HPs of the Jet and Sova on the side of Fear Legends, it's not looking too good, and I think things could have been in a... they could have teetered in a different direction.
Yeah, I mean, Team WDR, I really do think they need to slow the pace down a bit. I mean, not in terms of execute, but, you know, once the execute does happen, Fear Legends choose to go for the retake in a very swift fashion, and Team WDR, they're simply not able to respond to it in time, you know. They just need to slow things down past for the retake situation. They need to cover their backs. They need to gain the long position so the Viper can line up for those toxins, secure the spike plant, so you don't really need to put yourself in danger to make sure the spike goes off. But they need to do these things, and they need to do them quickly because they're 2 rounds behind now. They should have the buy for this against the save of Fear Legends.
I think one of the big questions we had early on, Talha, is whether or not Fear Legends would have as convincing of a victory against WDR as Exploit did against their own opponents, Perfectionists. And we might just get answers to that very soon, but right now, WDR down to pistols on a few of these players. And Trick.
Oh, this is 3v5 against the save. Oh, the Jet's not even looking. Hat's going to get the no-scope. What?
Is he smurfing? What's going on here? I mean, come on. Can't make it. You can't be that dirty.
And the Viper's red health, just nowhere to go. Oh, and they're actually chasing him down.
Yeah, they want to suffocate WDR. They are not going to allow. Okay,
nice
Cap Toxic. He's not too happy about that either. But eventually gets put down. Put in the grave by Trans. 3-0. Nice start for Fear Legends.
I mean, they lost that round, and now it's 3-0, but they really do need to gain some of these rounds, especially, you know, this is an attack-sided map. This is an attack-sided map, so, and the fact that they don't have a Killjoy means they are going to struggle quite a bit up on a defending side, so they need to gain as many of these rounds as possible. Now, Team WDR, they are switching it up a bit, you know, 3 attempts at A side did not work out for them, so now they're going to choose to go on to B. But the Viper, he's given off that information, and that those rotations, they're going to come out very quickly.
Oh, look at them already setting up for a retake before they even head on to the B site. And they're taking quite a bit longer than I would expect to actually get onto the yellow container. And Jet has already rotated all the way around. Recon Dart should give them a little bit of information. They know now that it's at least safe to get the bomb down if they can deploy some cover. But that's probably about the extent of it, because Fear Legends, they're already charged up to go for a retake. And with a minute on the clock, WDR, they really haven't made much of a dent. Look at that lineup. Oh no, Hats is trying to desperately find the bomb planter. Casper, really good lineup from him to be able to take down Sage. 4 versus 5 in WDR before they can even start punching the numbers in. They can't really find anything to thread the needle with. Trick adds more to the tally. It's just damage being dished out. Cap Toxic's a Viper Pit is not even doing him any favors. It just seems like he's imprisoned himself because he can't find any information. Casper and Criminal continue to add damage, and that's all going to be over. It's just Phenomenal remaining, waiting, biding his time, because it's not going to be much.
Oh.
Okay, hold that thought. Never mind. Oh, I got too excited there, Talha.
Yeah, but he did take out the operator. I mean, sure, it's going to get picked up, but... And, you know, there'll be 4 rounds down, but I'm surprised that Fear Legends took that long to rotate, especially because, you know, they got the early information, and that Viper saw quite a few of WDR coming on towards the B site. And with no flank, it seemed like WDR might have taken that round, but, you know, Phenomenal... He made a phenomenal attempt, but it just simply was not enough.
Standing ahead.
Get out of my way.
Yeah, Fear Legends so far, that whole story about them potentially having a complete pub stomp against WDR, it's not really showing any pages in the storybook which would suggest that the ending would be any different.
Oh, that was a nice white peek by Hats, getting the better of the Viper, but without the Viper wall, how do you even go for the spike plant? You know, I mean, sure you have 1 or 2 players, but even as I say that, they are going to end up falling before they even have a chance to make it across the Viper wall. This is an absolute disaster if you're Team WDR, and with the spike carrier kill, there looks to be no hope for them this round. And now, oh my lord, look at this. Fear Legends, they have 4 ultimates up. The Killjoy ultimate is up. The Viper ultimate, the Sova's ultimate. How do you fight into that? The retake becomes so much easier when you have the lockdown available that it's almost a guaranteed win if you're playing up on Icebox.
Yeah, just having a lockdown, having Viper's Spit, having a couple more ultimates thrown in the bag just makes things that much easier. And with 5 rounds up, Fear Legends, it doesn't seem like they're going to be stopping anytime soon. And look at that, Casper already deploying the ultimate. He knows exactly how he wants to play the A site. Wants to make sure that all the members from WDR are funneled towards B, and they have to be, right? Because there's nothing they can do about it. 1-for-1 trade, though, as Trans gets a bit cocky, and Maverick. This might actually be one of the first times where WDR actually have the advantage to play off of, with the exception of the pistol round.
Yeah, absolutely, and especially considering the fact that they just have gone for that revive, they need to make a move, but, you know, the A side still looks a bit tricky for them. Despite this being a 3v5, they really do need to make some sort of opening towards the B side or from this mid position, but going up on A might not work out. But as I said, that Maverick going to find that third kill, and with this, it might just be the first round that Team WDR are able to secure for themselves.
I mean, I'm not going to be too sure about that just yet because Casper's alive and he's got the ultimate up, so can't really take them out of the equation. Trick brings the numbers a little bit closer, but now Casper knows he's made the call that there's going to be a rotation towards the B site. A has been given up now when Casper, he catches one in the back, and now it's palatable, Talha. There's no way it comes down to a 2 versus 2, not like this. Is this going to come to fruition, Talha? The bomb needs to go down. There's only 15 seconds remaining. But no, phenomenal response. And it's still a clutch situation for Casper to try to carve out 1 versus 2. And both of them are funneled into one angle. One behind yellow. Oh, there's the information. But he doesn't quite get the kill. Dropping down. They're just making it so hard for him to find anything here. Spots a shoulder. Okay, now he has to fight 2 different angles at once, but it's not going to work out. Phenomenal. Finally manages to shut things down, but man, did it get
close. That was close. That was too close for comfort. I mean, starting that off with a 4v5 and then, you know, expending the Sage's ultimate, it was very concerning how Fear Legends were choosing to play that round, and the fact that Team WDR almost botched it, that was not the place where you want to be. You want to be taking those rounds in that convincing fashion if you've gone for all of those ultimates. But they will have a buy, and this time around, Phenomenal has picked himself that operator now. It's a costly one, and he has to make this work. Should he lose this right now, that's going to be 2 more rounds going in favor of Fear Legends.
We are going to be seeing a bit of a pause, though. WDR, they get a chance to clear the air, you know, discuss some things. I'm not even sure where your communication has to go wrong for a 5 versus 2, where you're heading onto the other site to turn into this.
That was a mess, but
yeah, I'm not entirely sure where things went wrong, but it feels like it was a bit of a domino effect, right? One player goes in the wrong direction, gets picked out, and then everybody in their attempts to try to compensate for it, they can't really make sure that it's secured.
we are going to come back into the game, though, and this has to be the moment where that operator that WDR have picked up comes to fruition, and they have to make some sort of use for it. Considering the fact that they're up against the Sage, you know, they are going to be in a position where that revive is going to come out.
Slow around once again, WDR. It seems like they've never actually shown a very fast-paced round, with maybe the exception of the pistol round.
Yeah.
I'm not even sure about that. No, that wasn't a very fast round either.
I mean, it was fast in the retake phase, not in the, execute phase.
The initial push is always really, really slowed down for WDR, and it almost seems like a shift in pace would probably be the solution to getting mowed down right now. But you know what? They had a bit of a resurgence. They had one. They've managed to thread one round together. Just a few more to go. Hopes are high, but
oh, there looks like they're going to be going
left.
towards the B
look
side,
at the
but
time though, Talter, is
Fear
just-
Legends know this, and they're rotating as well. And with the time that you just mentioned, just 20 seconds on the clock, I don't think that they can get this unless they choose to expend all their utility and go for this in this haphazard way. But with that Nano Swarm stopping that Spike from going out, it's going to be very difficult. The Spike Planter has been killed as well. The Hunter's Fury is going to come out. They're trying to buy as much time, trying to choke WDR. And it looks like it will be enough, even though Phenomenal does get the kill with that operator. It's just Fear Legends is just too quick for them.
Yeah, that was Though, to be perfectly honest, I would say that that's like well played by Fear Legends, but that's really not the truth, is it?
I
For the
mean-
most part, that's just WDR taking way too much time
Yeah.
and telegraphing the idea that they'll eventually be going to the B side. So that's something Fear Legends are already ready for. They have the Hunter Sphere ready. They've not deployed any of their utility with the exception of Viper's initial attempts at holding down the wire. So that was really just a pacing problem for WDR, and that means that Fear Legends, they've got a pretty big round advantage to play off of. Comes though, Phenomenal. That might just be one of the first openings he's managed to get with the operator.
But
Quick
again,
revive, yeah, that's just not doing him any favors, is it?
he has to find that kill again. Sova's going to get healed up as well. So it looks like a full reset is going to come out for both teams. Now they did take the Sage Revive out, so that is very good news for them at the very least. But there's still the Killjoy lockdown that they have to be aware of. If they choose to execute into the site and the lockdown comes out, they might not have the space to back away.
50 seconds though. And WDR, they're still trying to find something. They got the initial kill, okay, but it didn't really amount to much because they
he
were
just
the
got taken
immediate
out.
revive. Okay, Hats. There's the first skill, and he's acting as the first line of defense, and he's also acting as a bit of a bait-and-switch setup for Trick, who's got an operator ready. No, he can't peek into Sage. Hats quickly manages to take away Maverick, but there is a response in kind. 25 seconds now as the spike starts to get planted.
The spike is planted, and I mean, the lockdown is still available should Fear Legends choose to expend it. Killjoy is in perfect position for that lockdown. I think they have to use it because the Viper has that lineup available. And there we go. There is the Killjoy lockdown. That Viper has to fall back, not being able to use his Toxin. Might just haunt him, but there is still one member of Fear Legends stuck inside, and
Yeah, things did get a little messy. I don't blame you, Talha. It's Cap Toxic now, trying to make sure that the opposing Viper will stay off of the bomb. But no, trying to stick it. Okay, Cap Toxic saves it. It actually got very close there, Talha. 6-2.
yeah, I mean, they had the right play, right? Coming out with that lockdown, forcing the Viper back so that the Toxin can't be used to secure them the spike plant, but it went slightly haywire, and it was very close since the defuse was going to come out. It was around half a second or perhaps a full second remaining, which is not a lot of time, but you know, he made it work. And now it's 6-2, and Team WDR, they are coming back from this. And again, like we mentioned, this is an attack-sided map, and without the Killjoy, they need as many of these rounds in the attack side as they can get. And Team WDR, they are making an attempt for that B site again.
Hasn't really worked out too many times for them before. But they've got the utility lined up now. Reyna's flash will be the first signal that they want to move right in. Past the wall they go. The Molotov from Viper will just make things a little bit harder. They can't quite commit to a bomb plan just yet, but as the utility starts to subside, here it comes. They've got to get it down now, trying to bait something out, but it's going to be such a massive amount of chaos before Spike even goes down. There's a bit of damage, but now the time's ticking. It's on to Fear Legends to do something about it. Maverick, good time to pop the ultimate because he needs all the firepower he can get. Look at Trans playing very close.
Oh, there's the flank though.
Ooh, looking phenomenal. Yeah, he's trying to find something around it. Peeks right through. That is 2 kills for Hats actually before Phenomenal can continue to damage. But Trans is still alive and kicking. There's the first kill, 1-on-2, but Dexter quickly stops him in his tracks.
Yeah, that flank, I mean, even though he got those 2 kills, his teammates, they couldn't buy enough space for it to make a difference, as Trans was the only one who was remaining on the battlefield, and he fell as well. And now for the first time, Team Fear Legends, they don't have the economy to go for that full buy. Now they're playing on that back burner, and this looks like Team WDR's chance to turn things around. They're facing a 3-round deficit, but against an eco, they should be taking this round as well.
I'm honestly really glad to see WDR step up a little bit. Did I jinx it? No, okay. Only 1 kill. My heart can calm down now. Because Cap Toxic is not going to be missing out any of those easy kills. 4 versus 3 as WDR want to make their mark on a site. B site should be their go-to. Plant down. What the hell is that from Hats? Did he just waltz in with a?
And that's, I think, the second no scope.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's going through his head, but well, if it works, it works.
Oh, just 29 HP. What does he even do with just the Marshall?
Oh, did he spot a foot there? Taltris, this could be so good for Criminal if it works out.
Spike planted.
Never mind. We actually have a bit of a technical issue on our end as well, which is making it a bit harder to observe the game. So hopefully we can very quickly sort that out.
Yeah, and I mean, Team WDR, they've taken 4 rounds away from Fear Legends, and I think Fear Legends were 6 rounds in O. So it's Team WDR who've managed a 4 consecutive round win, and should they keep this up, you know, should they secure at least 2 or 3 more rounds, then this might be a map that they're looking to secure away from Fear Legends. And the fact that for us, you know, we were talking about the fact that Fear Legends against an unknown team, it's more likely than not that Fear Legends were going to dominate, but this does not look like a domination.
Not at all. In fact, I would go as far as to say that WDR are about tied right now. Shouldn't be too long before the timeout is over, but so far WDR has really impressed me. You know, Team Fear Legends, they look so solid at the start, and it's kind of reminiscent of how Exploit played on Bind against Perfectionists, where initially they started off with this massive lead. It looked so easy, nice and smooth, but then the Perfectionists started showing a bit of that perfection that was aforementioned in their name. But WDR, I think they might actually be able to bring it to fruition, unlike Perfectionists.
Oh, not a great start to the round though, as Trick finds the kill onto the Sage very early on, and without that Sage wall, it's going to be difficult for Team WDR to get that spike plant.
Yeah, I think that was one of the main reasons why they picked Sage, right? I mean, just to have that wall for bomb planting reasons. But they've got to do it the old-fashioned way now. Okay, phenomenal. Nice way to start things off. Vandal headshot. On to Hats. So both Sages have been eliminated from the server. And with a wall deployed now, at least they've got a bit of a curtain to work off of. But in the meantime, WDR, they have a whole flank coming in the form of Maverick. But he needs to act fast, because if he doesn't, that could potentially mean that his teammates are left stranded. Ah.
Oh, that's not how you want to go out. The spike carrier kill as well. Phenomenal is going to try to make something happen, but with only 20 seconds on the clock, he does have the spike, but his position revealed to know exactly where he is. He's going to get another kill, but oh, he turned his cursor away, and that was all that Casper needed to finish him off.
The whole thing about that flank that I really love is that Trans was the one watching the flank, right? So it's like Trans knows that, okay, what would I do if I was in his shoes, right? I mean, I know I'm the designated baiter of the team, and I'm always the one that's going for a massive flank, so what would I do? He's watching the angle. It works out perfectly now, doesn't it?
Now Fear Legends, they've come back from the 4 rounds that they gave to Team WDR in a very convincing way. 7-4 now. And this is the last round in the half, and if I was Team WDR, I would want to secure it. You know, 8-4. It's difficult to play off of that, you know, especially considering they're not gonna have a Killjoy when they are switched up to the defending side, and that's really gonna hurt them. Fear Legends though, I mean, with both the Sage ultimate and the Killjoy ultimate now up is the last half, so you might as well commit to it. So this is going to be an uphill battle for WDR.
Shouldn't be too long before the timeout is over, but I'm still very impressed by how WDR have managed to put up the numbers up against the Fear Legends. I thought it would be very unlikely. In fact, even when we were talking about it in the pregame and before the pregame, I think the entire narrative was around just Fear Legends potentially having a pub stomp victory or WDR being set up for basically the comeback of the year as far as Pakistani Esports is concerned. Or the upset, rather, not a comeback. But here we go. Last round of the first half. The knives are out. Phenomenal needs to find some heads to allow his team to get on to B. They've left a lurk onto the A site, but other than that, most of their attention will be diverted towards B. Now they want to cross over to the yellow con, but there are three players waiting on the other end, especially with the rotation coming in as well. Criminal joining his teammates. Hats playing up close, making sure nobody comes in from middle as well. And with how much time WDR have expended, they've got to burst onto the site now.
And I mean, you know, when you account for the fact that the lockdown is up, that's, you know, those are around 10 seconds that you have to remove from the timer in the first place, because you just simply can't fight into a lockdown. And Trans, he knows this. He's going to hold this mid position for as long as he can. Now that's exactly
right?
where WDR is coming from. Phenomenal. He's right there on the counter.
Oh,
Smoke going to get revealed, and he will be taken out by Trans. His knife's gone to waste, and Trans, he's not stopping. He's going to go for that Sage. He's going to actually waltz into two enemies, and that's, you know, even if you're Trans, you're not going to get those kills.
Yeah, that was... The thing is, though, it's not even about getting the kills at that point. It's about making sure they're engaged in a duel and you have full information, so that you just waste the timer. And that's exactly what happened. It's just such an easy round for Fear Legends off of those first couple of kills from Trans. But now, end of the first half. Things are going to switch up now.
Things are going to switch up, but it's a bit concerning, you know. I keep on talking about it, the Killjoy and them not having one. I mean, we saw Team Perfectionists struggle with it when they played on Icebox against Team Exploit. You know, they didn't have a Killjoy, and they really did suffer for it. And I would say that I don't want to see that happen this time around as well, where WDR, you know, since their lack of Killjoy, they are on a defending side, but it might just still happen. Oh, Trans. I'm glad he's still the same, you know, shooting at his teammates.
Changed. It's called practicing aim. Plebs wouldn't get it, unfortunately. But yeah, Fear Legends now getting ready to move on to B. It seems like they've already started off with their bread and butter being B, and that's probably because it requires minimal utility. All you need is that one wall and maybe Sage's wall as well, just to add a bit more spice to the mix. But so far, shouldn't be too difficult for them to get the bomb down. There's no utility with the exception of Dart set up that can even prevent that. Trans. Oh, I love that little angle. He's making sure that there's no rotations coming in, and he's barely even showing a pixel. He's wasting so much time. That's so beautifully done from Trans. What a great stoppage to the rotation. All it takes is one man, and now they're going to be paying the price for it. It's an ace for Trans. How did he manage to get that, Taltris?
I really don't know, because he was on mid last I saw him.
Yeah, but he wasn't even close to the action. He wasn't even close to the spike. He doesn't care, though.
You know, WDR, they're, you know, a bit... I mean, I'm not sure. You know, you lose one person to Trans, then you choose to peek him again. You lose another one, then you go for a third peek after that.
I'm not even sure why they keep going for peeks at that point. Why not just ignore him and go past him? But you know what? That makes me take a bit of a trip down memory lane. Back in the day, Trans was notorious for being a bit of a baiter, and that's exactly the kind of position you would expect him to play in those days, just to farm stats. But right now, he's not farming stats. He's farming tournaments. He's farming grand finals. And now that it works, it works.
This time around, though, the recon drone is going to go forward. It's Fear Legends who are going to execute on towards the B site, and WDR, they know this as the rotations are going to come in. Trans not going to let Criminal go just like that, and he will be taking the Reyna out, actually finding a double kill, the exact same place where he got them the last time, and with a 1v5, it looks like it's already over. I mean, Phenomenal, he's going to get a kill onto Trans, but he's done his work, and Casper is going to finish him off. 10-4 now, and it seems like Fear Legends, they've picked up the pace. I mean, it seems like, you know, they're no longer making some of those mistakes. It seems like Trans is in his form now.
Yeah, he's got 21 kills to the 13 of the second fragger, so he's pretty far up as far as the scoreboard is concerned. And by the way, it's not really too much of a surprise, especially because we know that Trans on Killjoy, especially on Icebox, is a completely different beast. Did I say breed and beast at the same time? What's wrong
I mean,
with me?
those both,
Yeah,
both
my-
of them can be correct, you know? Like,
Close enough.
Eliminate.
Fear Legends, 3 versus 3 for them to play out. And WDR, this is probably about as close as they've gotten in the second half. A retake ensues and the spike's been planted. Recon drone doesn't get too much information. Okay, that's 2 players being spotted, so at least they've got a general idea of how they want to play this out.
and I mean, Hats is going to get the kill onto Dexter, but it doesn't seem like WDR have much fuel left in the tank. I mean, they are going to get a return kill, but with the fall of Phenomenal over there, Hats is going to finish it off with a quad kill. Trans just opens up so much space with these early frags that he gets, and the fact that WDR allow it every single time. I think for the past 5 rounds, WDR has given off first blood to Trans on the same position up on the mid area.
Yeah, it's just too much of a landslide, man. Fear Legends, they're putting up such a strong showing, but if you put up a strong showing with regards to promoting this tournament, if you tweet out with the hashtag GamersGalaxy is live, you get a chance to win 20 USD. So go ahead and check out the banner on the right side that keeps popping up on your screens for all those nitty-gritty details. Okay, yeah, the Trans is just in too good of a position.
Again, he got the first blood.
Just waits them out, nice and easy. So I really like the polarity of how he's playing it. Sometimes he's just playing off of mid, trying to carve out his own kills, and at other times he's making sure that there's no aggression coming out from the enemy squad. And that's sort of the same thing, but it's being done in very different ways. One, he's trying to stop rotations, and the other, he's trying to stop flanks. So it's really difficult if you're in the shoes of WDR to really go for anything. You can't push, you can't rotate. What's going on?
And I mean, it's so difficult to play against Trick and Trans because both of them are just so good with their fragging potential. I mean, on a map like Icebox where you have to go for that retake, you know, once all the utility is used, you're going to be relying on your mechanical skill, which is why time and time again we've seen Phenomenal, you know, up on WDR being the last man alive. We've seen him have to be sort of forced in this position where he has to carry his team, and it's just too much for him because he's outgunned, outmaneuvered, the information goes the other way as well, and it just does not work out for him. But, I mean, he has picked himself as the operator again, and up on the defensive side, it can work out.
One round, though. Is that enough of an insurance policy? I don't think so. That is not the
yeah.
lifeline you're relying
Especially
on.
since, you know, Fear Legends haven't actually used any of their ultimates to win any of these rounds. It's just been Trans and Trick getting those frags. So how do you win against the Sage Revive? How do you win against the Lockdown? It just does not seem likely.
And obviously Fear Legends aren't going to hold back with regards to utility usage. Knowing it's the last round, all they have to do is just walk over this finish line. It's really... It seems like the WDR's work is cut out for them. And with the lockdown, it's just so easy to get onto the site. Bomb plants should be secured with walls being set up. Fear Legends now know exactly what to do. Spike down.
Oh, the long position is secured as well, and no flank coming their way.
Oh no, Hats isn't actually in a position where he can go for a revive. Trying to find something, but no, it's just kill after kill coming through from WDR. It might actually be one of those rounds where Fear Legends start to struggle, but Trans is still alive. But the defuse, it's guaranteed. They get him at the end, but that's still at the cost of 2 players, Staltris.
Yeah, but I mean, they did make Fear Legends expend the lockdown. So at the very least, it was a bit unfortunate that the Sage went down. I'm sure they were trying to play around that revive, trying to ensure that with that revive they would have been able to secure this map. But the good news for Fear Legends is that they're already on match point. They're so ahead of WDR that they have a lot of capacity to make mistakes. Now WDR, they've won 5 rounds. They have ultimates up of their own. And they can very well use them to secure some of these rounds, but they have to secure each and every one of them for 7 rounds straight, and that's a very difficult, that's a very hard bargain.
Get out of my way.
For Legends, they've only got to get 1 round, and Drake, he's got the knives out to start things off, misses a few, but that's not going to matter because Trans is there to pick things up. It's always Trans really getting those initial kills for some reason, although he is playing Killjoy.
You will not kill my ally.
Oh, now we do see the revive come out. The Viper's Pit is committed as well over on Fear Legends' side, and this looks even more difficult than the lockdown itself. The other revive comes out as well, and it's an absolute mess over here in the Viper's Pit. All players inside, but it looks like Criminal is going to clean them all up, and with the Phenomenal, the only player remaining with that Classic, not going to be enough.
Absolutely not. That is a done deal. And when this game started off, I think we anticipated that it would be a lot closer. I think Fear Legends started to drop the ball a little bit, especially during the first half. But after that, it was really just a one-team show. We didn't see anything come back out from WDR. Their pushes look sloppy. And every single time they try to go for something unorthodox, which I really like it when smaller teams do that, by the way, they just get intercepted by Trans. So really, there's nothing left for them to do.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about Team Exploit's ability to play with just simply with their mechanical skill, but Trans and Trick, they have quite a bit of mechanical skill of their own, with Trans getting those double kills, those triple kills each and every single time. With him finding the first blood, I believe that, what was that, for like 6 or 7 rounds straight where he got first blood absolutely uncontested. That's just simply not a position where you want to play at, especially, where you're picking up these expensive items such as Phenomenal, getting that operator. I believe he got that 3 or 4 times this map, and if you can't make that work, then that's just too much economy. It is a resource-based game at the end of the day, you have to play with the economy because you buy your utilities using that, and if you can't make that work, you are going to suffer for it.
Absolutely. I mean, Talha, we continually saw them being unable to carve out duels for themselves, losing out to Trans on middle, not really having great rotational timings, and I feel like a lot of that really came down to them not having great pacing as far as their attack side was concerned. Especially over towards the B site, there were many times where utility wouldn't have been set up by Fear Legends, but just by virtue of taking too much time actually getting the bomb down, things fell apart. They weren't able to capitalize on the initial timing advantage they have. They couldn't get the bomb down. And well, that's how the cookie crumbled for them. Pretty nice and easy victory for Fear Legends. And so far, this is seeming very reminiscent of how Exploit beat out their own opponents. And unfortunately, Tultris, this could be one of those scenarios again where we're trying to juggle optimism, but really we're going to be pouring out lots of glasses because there's not really too much to say about it. The decider map looking super unlikely.
Yeah, but the good thing is that on some of those rounds WDR where they didn't completely botch it and give Trans a triple kill at the start, on some of those rounds they did play it very well, right? They did manage to beat Fear Legends in a convincing way, managed to get the upper hand on them, so they do certainly have the capacity for a comeback. It is a best of 3. They are going to be playing a second map, so the opportunity for them is very much there. The skill, I mean, it is at the end of the day, they're playing the quarterfinals for the biggest event, in the history of esports here. So definitely they do have what it takes, but sometimes the pressure just gets too much, and especially when you're playing against a veteran like Trans, I don't think there's any shooter or FPS fan in Pakistan who does not know who Trans is. So that's a lot of pressure, but do I think that they can do it? I certainly hope so.
Yeah, but now we're heading into territory that I would personally say Trans is probably not the best at, right? Icebox is a map that he's super comfortable with, and I know I'm mentioning him quite a lot, but that's because he was doing such a stellar job as Killjoy, not even using much of his lockdown. He was just running around fragging like there's no tomorrow. So really good job from him. But regardless, I don't think he's going to be as impactful on Bind. However, because of the kind of agents he picks, because like Killjoy for instance, I think that will still make him a very dominable force over towards Bind, even if he's not having that reflect on his stats. But so far, Fear Legends, pretty clean game from them. And if you were to make the argument right now that they're not really exposing all of their strategies or whatever, I would still agree with you, because we haven't really seen anything too complex from Fear Legends. It's been pretty linear as far as the game's concerned. And well, we do get a chance to look at the match MVP, who should be none other than Trans. I would be really surprised that it is. Yep, there we go.
Yeah,
26 kills for the man.
Kills.
8 first bloods.
I think that's more than a 3 KDA. I mean, we don't get to see the deaths, but I don't think he died all that much. And you know, I think Trick would have been the second MVP. But regardless, I mean, Trans played absolutely phenomenally this game, or rather this map. And you know, like you mentioned, it's a map that he's very used to. He's very used to doing well on it, so he's not going to do as well on the Bind map. So that's where the opportunity for WDR is going to be, you know, where Trans is not in the environment where he flourishes. Rather, you know, it's going to be a place where WDR can choose to dictate the game if they play it well, and that's really their key to victory.
Yeah, I think so as well. Just so much hinges on individuals right now in Fear Legends, and I don't think in reality it really hinges on these on individual players, but at least from our perspective, it's got to be dependent on some individuals, simply because we haven't quite seen Fear Legends perform. And until we see that, their individuals are all we have for guidance, for as a benchmark for how the team is going to perform. So far, at least they're passing the eye test in terms of individual fragging. Do they do that on a strategic level when they actually go up against better, more seasoned teams? I don't really have an answer for that just yet, Tultrus, but I think as the tournament goes on, as we see more maps, we are going to get a chance to do just that. But heading into the second map, it is going to be Bind. So any thoughts around that, Tultrus?
I mean, I really do think they should pick up a Killjoy. I mean, you know, we saw Team Perfectionists struggle with it simply because they did not pick up a Killjoy. I mean, sure, they probably would have still lost to Team Exploit, right? But having that Killjoy would have helped them secure those extra few rounds, or at the very least, having that Killjoy means that the other team simply can't be as aggressive as they want to be, right? Trans simply can't play all out if he's facing up against a turret, if he's facing up against an alarm bot. That does give you momentary pause, and I think they really need to do that. I think Phenomenal, you know, last time I said over on Perfectionist side that Paid Hacks should be switched over from the duelist role, but I do think the Phenomenal, you know, he didn't have a very good team, or rather he didn't have a very good game, but he should still stick to the duelist role, because he did make the operator work. You know, it was unfortunate the stage revive was up, so when he did get that kill with the operator, the revive instantly came out, but it's the operator up on Jet, you know, up on Bind is a weapon that works, so I do think that they should stick to it.
Well, it's just something we're going to have to wait and find out. Obviously, I think the operator will always be a big part of the equation, but if you look at the first series in between Exploit and Team Perfectionists, I think a lot of that came down to just one or two players not being able to deliver. I think Paid Hacks in particular was the one we had our eyes on as a duelist. Yes, he did get quite a few kills, but at the end of the day, it didn't amount to enough for them to actually get a win. They were constantly relying on clutches here and there, individual brilliance, but it simply didn't chalk up to the victory, and you can't blame them for that. But now I think Team WDR, they've got a chance to learn from teams that have already fallen out of the tournament, right? Not making that same kind of mistake, being willing to change up your team composition, being willing to play something a little bit more unorthodox that Fear Legends wouldn't expect. That's something I would really like to see. But so far, even those little unorthodox plays we did see come out on Icebox, they were very easily intercepted by Trans. So that's what I'm worried about. I don't want them to go down the hole of trying these weird pushes, these weirdly timed aggressions. But at the same time, playing with structure also isn't really their forte. So maybe something to do with timings is probably something I'm looking towards. Icebox, obviously, timings weren't really their weren't really something that favored them. But now, I think we've had enough of Icebox. We're going to be heading straight into Bind, into Agent Select to see how things are going to pan out.
And I mean, I'm glad that they're changing things up a bit, WDR, but they still did not go for that Killjoy. Instead, actually, Phenomenals is going to be switched from that duelist role. So he's going to be playing the Sage. Dexter is going to be playing the Raze. No Jet on their team, no Killjoy, but instead they have the Sky, Astra, and the Viper. It can work, the flashes and the smokes. They have everything that they need, save for the Killjoy utility. But the Sage Wall is one of those things that does very well on Bind as well, because it essentially does serve as a barrier. The Sage Wall can be used to block off one entry point into the site, whether that be the hookah or the B long position. Or whether it's on the A side, blocking the A short or the showers area. It's certainly something that can work out, but
I do think it's a bit of a folly to not pick up Killjoy, to not pick up a lockdown agent, especially if you're...
do you see what I see, Faraz? Look at Trons, look at what he's picked up.
Oh, he's picked up the big bad.
Yeah.
And it's an agent we're not too familiar with. But you know what? I really wanted to see that. Why did I want to see that? It's because I'm tired of Trans constantly playing the role of a sentinel or something and still fragging out like crazy. What happens when he actually gets all the firepower he needs? He gets an extra sheriff in the back pocket. He gets a sniper rifle that he can pull out of his backpack. He gets teleports. He gets discount alarm bots.
Yeah.
Are they discount, though? I think they're better. They slow the enemy. But man, I am really excited to see this Chamber pick. You wouldn't expect it. I think a lot of players are still very uncomfortable with it, but Trans is willing to flex on these, well, according to him, these kids a little bit.
Yeah, and I mean, this is a good opportunity to try things out. I mean, sure, it is the quarterfinals, but having secured one map already, I mean, you can go for these plays, see what works out well. And they have a lot of room for error because WDR don't have a lot of utility to punish. If their utility is more designed to take control.
Okay, Hats. First kill for the man. And WDR already shaking a little bit as the second kill is secured. On to the retake now.
Oh.
And yeah, look at Trans. He's just running around willy-nilly. Okay, he only gets away with one kill, which isn't as impressive as I wanted him to be, but that's okay because Fear Legends, they've cleaned things up nice and tight. It's Sage and Viper remaining on the other squad. WDR, they have telegraphed their offense.
One enemy remaining.
Fear Legends know exactly where they're coming from, and it's not too difficult to have janitorial services come in and clean things up. Fear Legends, first round on the board, Talha.
Yeah, that round was over once, the player on the heaven position, he fell to Trons, and those two players coming in from the defender spawn side simply did not have enough room. Phenomenal. He chose to exit out from that area into open space while jumping, and I'm not sure what he was thinking there because it did not seem like he expected to catch anything. Perhaps he wanted to create enough of a distraction, but now the Sage has positioned himself inside the hookup, perhaps to block off entry and create some sort of play from inside, but we're going to see if it works because Fear Legends, they have no plans to enter the B side. They are going to go for a full execute on towards the A side.
Yeah, before a retake can even come in, they are nice and settled onto the site. Spike takes a little while longer to get planted, but eventually it still turns into a massive advantage.
Flawless.
And I personally, Talha, I think we're just going to see a very loose style of gameplay from Fear Legends. I think they're also going to go down the route of playing in the way that Exploit did. Just kind of played casually. Trans also going for a pick that he probably wouldn't have chosen against Exploit. Just relying on firepower instead. And I'm still not really sure where Chamber fits into the meta.
I mean, I'm not sure if the meta for Chamber is still very well defined at the moment. I mean, we're seeing teams pick up the KO, but Chamber, not just yet, but it's not going to be too long before teams figure it out. I mean, you have a sniper, you have a sheriff, just for those reasons, just for
far?
the utilities.
Yeah, so far I think everybody's sort of been trying to slot Chamber into the same shoes as Jet, run away after a quick shot, maybe use it as a bit of a half Yoru, kind of just try to juke opponents because he definitely has a lot of juke potential.
Well, I mean, when you talk about Yoru was like more of a quarter Yoru in the first place.
Yeah, oh god.
Did not really work out as a duelist as intended, but
Back in the day, we would just have those Pokemon cards that were just there to fill out a deck. That's kind of how I feel about Yoru. You'd just get like 9 really bad ones, and then you get a shiny or like one of those metallic-looking cards at the end. Yeah, the other 9, that's all Yorus. Were you ever a bit of a card collector?
I was into Duel Masters. Remember that show?
Oh,
Shobu?
God. Yeah. That's actually such a Pakistan-specific thing, though.
Yeah, that's
like
true.
I think like nobody internationally would really get it, but like man, Duel Master is so complex. I've like looked at the wiki and I used to play it quite a bit, and man, it goes into so much depth. It's crazy. Were you any good at it?
I mean, I used to collect a lot, but
Man, I like now that I'm sort of going down the rabbit hole of like old games like Pokemon and Duel Master and whatnot. I kind of want to just have a bit of a Beyblade battle. Like maybe I should like host like
a Beyblade tournament?
yeah, maybe. Oh, Galaxy Racer, sign me up for Beyblade consultancy. But man, that would be fun.
That would actually be fun. That would be terrific.
That reminds me. When I was a kid, my brother used to have like this weird Beyblade that he basically made himself, and every time he'd use it against anybody else's blade, it'd just break. Like everybody hated my brother because he had cost him so many rupees in Beyblade damages.
It's like putting spikes on your car's tires.
Yeah, that's basically what it is. It was unfair, but it was fun. It was you could see their souls breaking, their souls drowning, when their Beyblade would hit my brother's Beyblade and it would just go flying and like strike a wall or something. It was fantastic. I think he made a couple kids cry as well.
Oh, okay.
He's not mean because he was a kid back then as well. So
I mean, it's everything's fair in Beyblade. When you let it rip,
yeah.
But when you talk about the desi aspect of it, did you ever play on those, the bartans that you had, the dongas that you had biryani in, but you didn't have biryani in it, you had Beyblades going inside.
I used to love that, like and the sound it made, like bartan ke against it was fantastic. It was just great. Whew. That was
But coming back to the game, I mean, WDR, 2 rounds, it's only been 2 rounds, but so far Fear Legends have taken both those rounds in a very convincing capacity, just going all out aggressive on towards the site, and it doesn't seem like WDR have a response. The only one who can put some sort of resistance is Phenomenal, who's playing the Sage over on WDR, but up on the Sage position, he's not playing the Duelist this time around, so he's not going to be on those front lines, he's not going to be the point of contact or the first point of resistance that Fear Legends face, and the lack of firepower from his teammates, the lack of any sort of resistance that comes out from them, it's going to be very difficult for WDR to actually go for these retake positions because they're often going to find themselves playing, a 3v5 retake, for example, or 2v5 retake.
I'm sorry, my train of thought is still I'm still going down the rabbit hole of kids games.
Kids games.
At the front of my attention. For a second there, I really just forgot that we were casting a game. It was just like 2 friends having a chat about old games.
I mean, if you think about it, for us, this, all of these esports, they're kids games, but they're no longer kids games, Games are more games now, rather than anything else.
Oh my goodness, why would you? Man, I've been grinding this game. What's wrong with you? Why would you say that? I'm in my 20s.
But 20 years ago, no kid could say they're playing a game in a Galaxy Racer tournament worth 50 lakhs,
Yeah, I mean, fair enough.
This would not be a thing.
Yes, screw them, kids. I'm not really sure what the holdup is right now. Is it a tactical? Is it a technical? No, nobody's allowed that much of a tactical, are they? It's got to be a technical.
And I mean, I hope WDR, figure some things out because they have quite a lot to think about. But, this is a good opportunity to remind you guys who are watching, this is a chance. Galaxy Racers, they are going to be doing a giveaway. So 5 people will be chosen. They're doing a giveaway for $20. So if you want, you can share the hashtag GamersGalaxy is live on your Facebook, on your Instagram. Post the link to the tournament stream and you will have a chance to win those $20.
But here we go. Kicking things off, finally. I think it's time we give up daydreaming about old cards and video games and, well, whatever else was part of our childhood. Yo-yos, those were a thing. Well, never mind. Not going down that rabbit hole again. But here comes Fair Legends now, trying to find their footing on the B site. The recon drone allows them to get some early information, but there are 3 members waiting. Ready. And with the first player already being taken off the roster of FL, it is going to be quite tricky to get things going. But WDR, this is probably one of the most solid positions they've ever been in.
Oh, and that
so
Boombot might
far.
just do a lot of damage, but did not quite find anyone as Team Fear Legends. They
Oh,
did
that
back
could
themselves
really sell the
away.
wrong idea. Never mind, it activated for a second, which means that they now know there's players coming their way. Dexter finds himself in the midst of so much chaos, but it's only Casper getting away with 1.
Enemy remaining.
As time ticks down, so do the players of Fear Legends, and it is the first round on the board for WDR.
Yeah, Team Fear Legends really should have backed away from there. I mean, choosing to go against the Execute through the smoke where there were 3 guns aiming towards that long position, that was never a fight that was going to work out. Skill or no skill, all that WDR needed to do was press the left click, get those skills and secure themselves the round.
It wasn't too difficult of a round for WDR, and it's surprising.
A gift.
And I mean, this is their chance for a comeback. WDR, they've secured themselves 1 round. Looks like they will have a bye as well to go for it. The flash comes forward. Does confuse Trick just for a second, but with that smoke placed the way it is, it doesn't seem like the flash is going to do anything. Now the Seekers come out as well. Trick finding 1 person, but smoke is there to provide some cover. He's trying to go into the side, will be able to clean up 1, but that's left him in an open position and he's fallen. Criminal is going to trade him out, but oh, he's caught with his gun being reloaded and Cap Toxic is going to finish him. The elbow still in WDR's control. Fear Legends have not been able to take that side. Trans is going to find the kill. That's going to provide enough of a distraction for his team to rotate. Will be able to come across another player, but not being able to secure it. And now Fear Legends, they've rotated themselves away from the A site. They are going to
I'm
go
actually a
towards
big
B.
fan of how they played this. Look at how far. He tossed the birdie flashbang.
Oh, and Siren has no idea about this. He did
Yeah,
come
because
from
he
that
heard he heard the
position.
cue on the flash, right? So he's thinking they're actually entering
Yeah.
A, but that's not the case at all.
And by the time they realize what's going on, the spike will already have been planted. They have 1 option. They can choose to use the teleportation, but it comes at a risk. That audio cue is huge. You hear it from across the map, and should he go for it in a 2v2 situation, where 1 player is coming from. You can accommodate for that because where the other player will be coming from. But as I said that, both players actually choosing to go for that teleportation, and both of them have positioned themselves inside the hookah. Hats knows where they are.
Who finds the first duel, though? It's Casper and Hats playing in very close contention.
Right there.
Exo being spotted. Okay, yeah, Hats, he's just too much of a menace now. There's nothing the final member can do to try to find both duels. It's just looking seemingly undoable, but okay, it's still... for a second there I got a bit excited. I thought maybe Cap Toxic could thread the needle, but no. 3-1.
That
Fear
was a
Legends
nice
continue.
distraction that Hat's teammate,
Yeah, it was
gave
Casper.
off for him. Casper, I mean, he provided the cover fire and was distracted the players enough that Hats was able to finish them all off. And that was a nice rotation as well. I mean, overall, Fear Legends played that round perfectly. I mean, even when you look at the fact that Trans came out from shower, bought themselves an additional 5 to 10 seconds, forced Team WDR to use that teleportation. So, Fear Legends, that was perhaps, one of the best executes in this quarterfinal so far.
Oh. Does Trans actually really want to go for this? Okay, shouldn't be too long before the Hound spots him, but Fear Legends, they're ready to hop onto the ace site. There are quite a few players waiting for them, 2 in showers, but that is Trans's responsibility to make sure they're busy with him while most of the broth is being cooked up over towards A. Okay, Criminal's quite flashed out of his mind, but there it is. 1-for-1 trade bomb should be going down soon, but they still need to deal with 2 of the WDR players that have tucked themselves into showers, and they've also got to deal with the additional Phenomenal that has now made his way onto the A site. Some information available. Trick, if he gets this first frag, no, the Phenomenal doesn't allow it. It's quite difficult for Fear Legends to do anything off of this position, especially with how tricky Phenomenal is making it. There it is. Didn't even need the revive. In fact, if anything, that probably made things harder.
Yeah, that provided enough distraction. I mean, sometimes the revive can backfire on you, but not this time around. And Phenomenal, he has managed to secure himself 4 kills. The revive coming out as well. And with this, WDR are going to secure themselves the second round. I mean, with only 20 seconds on the clock, it doesn't look like Trans can do anything.
Gun here.
Yeah, pretty straightforward for WDR, surprisingly. And I think that really came down to so many of those duels, but I think the biggest takeaway there was shower control.
Yeah,
Because it was largely around Trans, it largely really came around Trans having to keep them busy and him being unable to do that. So is this where Trans starts to kick himself for picking up Chamber? Because, man, he is feeling so reliant on his weaponry right now, where he doesn't have the same kind of utility he would if he was playing Killjoy, maybe using Nano Swarms to clear things out, but perhaps even having a drone, perhaps having the Killbot.
Oh, that Wolf is going to catch Criminal now. I believe they spotted out 2 players, so Team WDR, they have a lot of information going their way this round. I mean, they haven't spotted Trans, who has used his own ultimate. But Fear Legends, they're playing this so carefully. For the first time, actually, I'm seeing them on this map not choosing for that all-out aggressive execute. And it seems to me like WDR have forced them to play in this position.
Yeah, the ultimates have come out. Oh no, nasty shot from Phenomenal. Doesn't even let them get a whiff of the side before he starts to do what he does best. But no, he's only good for 1 kill before they start to make their way in. Zarin, he's got to play in the same angle that they did before when they were tucked into showers. Okay, that gets messy, but Casper has really dropped the ball here. It's now Zarin in such a prime position to make their lives difficult. Fear Legends, only 2 players alive for them, but it's still very doable. Okay, 2 in hookah. Zarin with a 3rd kill, and Trans now finds himself in between 3 members. Not a chance. He avoids the chaos, and that is it. That's the tie.
And with WDR having that ultimate up, the Viper Spit is at the ready. They are on a defending side. This looks a lot more even than it did the first map, and it seems like, as you mentioned, with Trans picking himself an agent which does not have a well-defined meta. No one really knows how to have a composition and how to execute a strategy based around that agent. It seems that might just be what WDR need to secure this win.
When you pick an agent like that, it's really a double-edged sword, right? Perhaps you come out on top because it's just too unorthodox for the enemy team to predict. But at the same time, you can also just fall down the rabbit hole of potentially not being able to come up with anything usable with that agent. Now, obviously, I'm not going to put all the blame on Trans's Chamber pick. I don't even think that's that's one of the big reasons. But I think maybe on a different agent, we would be seeing a different start to this map. But regardless, it did look close even in that first map for the first 6 rounds. So, or in the first half. Was it the first game that went close in the first map? I can't quite remember, but I think 3-3 is just too early to call anything. It could still very well be a one-sided game from either side. It could even be WDR coming out with something like 13-3, although I really doubt that would happen.
Yeah, I don't think that's very likely. I mean, I want the underdog to win, you know, while having a tough time. I don't want them to stomp the other guy, you know?
Yeah, it seems a bit cruel, but WDR, so far they're actually putting up such a stellar job. Like, that control on showers, very nicely done. Using utility. It does get them the first kill, but that's also at the cost of their Sky being taken away, and that was a bit of an unnecessary peek, if I do say so myself.
The Astro Divide has been committed, and with this, Casper is going to find the spike plant. The recon drone is recon bolt rather going to give off some information as well, and now Zeren is going to commit to that Viper's Pit after the spike plant. This might be very difficult for Fearless to do anything. The Raze ultimate not going to find anything though. Hats is going to find a kill on a Phenomenal. That is a very valuable player for your team, and WDR, they seem to be crumbling as a Hats finds himself 4 kills to finish off that round.
Did he line them all up? How the hell did that happen? I want to see a replay on that. My eyes were too slow to catch it.
And I mean, with that Viper Spit, I really thought that it was going to go very different. I mean, with the reduced visibility that you have with the Astral Divide up as well, how does Hats get all of those kills?
Yeah, it was honestly a doozy. I can't... How did he get those kills? I mean, your guess would be as good as mine even after the replay.
Yeah, I mean, I think we don't have the time to go over that replay like at least 4 times, but, you know, at the very least, it's very impressive. And now Hats, you know, he's leading the scoreboard, and it's actually Trick who's struggling quite a bit over here, and that's not a position where we're too used to seeing him play.
One thing I do want to point out is that this map does kind of favor the defenders. So for WDR to be looking strong initially, I wouldn't really chalk that up as a massive W for them. I think we get to see the main crux of the game when Fear Legends eventually get to the side switch.
And I mean, WDR, they have agents catered to that defending side in the first place, right? You have the Viper, you have the Sage as well. Agents that do so much better up on a defending side. So really, yeah, I agree with you. We're really going to have to see how the second half progresses for Fear Legends before, you know, we can make a claim about anything. But
look at WDR. They've done this before where they take very dominant showers control, but it could be getting a bit predictable here, Tultras, because they've done it so many times at this point. I would really expect Fear Legends to be predicting this out and stopping it.
Oh, and it looks like they have spotted it out this time around, though. Casper is going to go in, and there is a flank coming in from the Chowers area as well. Trans finishing off one, and Casper getting the other. That's Chower back in their control. The spike is going to be planted as well, but with only 3 players remaining, both of them in the middle of the site. No one at Heaven to control the site for them. This is not the position where you want to be, and you are going to pay for it. The Sage, Phenomenal, not being able to do anything, and with just 1 player remaining, it's Cap Toxic, but rather Zeren, but he's all over at elbow, and even though they don't see him, there's too many players there.
Yeah, I really dig how they took A there, Tultras. I mean, normally you were expecting them to just allow Trans to do his own thing in showers, but they quickly realized that wasn't enough. Instead, now they go for a bit of a pincer setup where while the showers players are trying to defend the site, that's where Trans moves in. He didn't even telegraph his position early on, so that late flank, it simply wasn't expected. So nicely done from them, and WDR, this is where they actually start to struggle. Guns few and far in between. Maybe they have a Marshall thrown in the mix at best. I think they picked one up and then sold it, trying to keep their economy under lock and key, and 6 rounds is not looking too tough here. Trans setting up a teleport for himself. Casper sniffing out the opponents, but no. Trans. Ooh. Gets caught out by the Sheriff there.
And I mean, it might just be an easy round for Fear Legends. I mean, they even commit the Seekers. A bit of an overkill, but you know, it works as long as you secure the round. And even though it is an eco Team WDR, they managed to find 2 kills. They take 2 guns off of Fear Legends. If they find 1 more, I'd say that this round is absolutely worth it for them. But whether Zaren will be able to do that, oh, rather a nice flick. I mean, taking 3 guns off in the eco round, that's... All in all, I'd say that's pretty worth it. You know, considering the fact that...
I'm chalking that as a W. Like, it doesn't even matter if he doesn't get the round. Good enough for the pistols they had.
And considering the fact that Fear Legends used the Seeker's ultimate, the Sky ultimate, and despite of that fact, they still managed to lose 3 players against that eco, yeah, that wasn't very well played by them. Or rather, I would say that was very well played by WDR.
Yeah, because you can't even take away anything from Fear Legends. They sort of played it very strategically. They had the smokes up, they had the bomb down, they had all the control they could possibly need. But when they start dueling out the side of WDR, they're getting shot in the head. So, what can you even do about that from a strategic perspective? Just see what happened to Maverick there. He had his dog out and he just got he got pushed by Jet regardless. He's like, no, I'll just walk past your dog. But
oh, they know where Phenomenal is. Now, he is going to use the slow, but he did not plan on Trick dashing himself up in the air to get that. He thought the slow would have been enough. But Dexter is going to provide a bit of a pause to Fear Legends with that double kill. And now it's a 3v3. The Astral Divide being committed as well. Criminal using that teleport. 2 players actually teleporting, and they are going to move towards the B side. And Trans looking to create yet another distraction. But the cursors are aimed on him and he doesn't even have the time to leave the smoke.
Okay, so WDR do have the advantage, but it's still very doable for Fear Legends.
Oh wow, what Fear Legends are doing is, I mean, it's slightly pretty funny. They use the teleporter, then they've managed to come back to the same position, but now it's Criminal who's in trouble. No. He did not check that area. Had to be the one to get that exchange, but the mere fact that he was forced in that position allowed him to get backstabbed. I mean, I don't know. They used a teleporter, then they went back to the teleporter.
Yeah, the idea behind it is sort of just to go for a bit of a fake, but I think the highlight there was Cap Toxic just having baby oil on his mouth. Just look at that. It's slipping out of control.
Yeah, and I mean, if Hats wasn't forced in that position, perhaps he would have not been backstabbed like that. Perhaps he would have gotten that kill. But that was nicely played by WDR nonetheless. I mean, if you don't check those flanks, then you are going to pay. Dexter choosing to use his ultimate, launching a missile at his face, and now they have control of the spike. It's in their possession, and all they have to do is control it. Trans will be able to get that kill, but with Cap Toxic trading him off, the defenders, they really do need to be making a move on towards that spike area.
Yeah, I'm not even sure how Fear Legends dropped the ball here, right? Recon Dart doesn't gain them any favors, but Trick knows exactly where they can potentially be. Brought it down to a more palatable standpoint. The bomb's been marked, so now WDR, they still know that that's their main goal. They've just got to defend the bomb for a little bit longer. But with 50 seconds on the clock, it's not the easiest task in the world. Okay, Cap Toxic moves in at the right time. Catch Strick in the back, and there's 2 different angles for Criminal to work with. Trying to find both is just too difficult, especially with him being hounded down. No, not a chance he gets it. And Cap Toxic keeps him in the game. 6 and 5.
Yeah, that was very well played. I mean, not just getting that last kill, but I mean, it was a mixture of play and, you know, a bit of luck, as the Raze, when he missiled that person, I mean, he did find the spike, right? And there's no telling whether he was aiming for the spike in the first place, because he simply would not have been able to know at the start of the round. But the fact that they've got that, the fact that they were able to keep that position secured away from Fear Legends was very impressive. And this is something that they need to do more often. You know, take the fight to them rather than wait for them to come to you. And I mean, the Sage's wall is up for WDR as well, so they have the potential for a 6v5 fight. And this is something that Fear Legends don't have. They don't have a Sage. They are going to expend those Seekers and they are going to go for a full execute on towards the B side. Casper is going to lead the fray. He's going to come to a flash target, and with that he is going to be able to clean them off. That was a nice flash by the Sky. And with this, the only player left, the Astra, Cat Toxic, outside the hookah, his position being revealed as well. Jet going to throw away all the knives, not going to be able to find him, but the judge is going to be enough.
Switching sides.
That was that flash. I mean, it secured them the round. I mean, Casper had enough time to actually get that kill. Oh man.
One thing I'm really happy to see is that Hats is on top, and the reason for that is because when we headed into this, when we headed into talking about this lineup, I think all of our focus was around Trans and Criminal being the core, and maybe Trick also being part of it. But really, I don't think that's the case anymore. Hats is proving that he is on the level or even farther than the core that is available. So I think any doubts we had about whether or not this is a well-matched up team with regards to skill, I think those have been put to rest.
Yeah, and I mean, Hats, we have seen him perform when he was back with Salt Esports. And he needs to continue to keep this going, but Fear Legends, I mean, now they're 7-5. The rounds have been switched up. It's the second half. So our questions are going to be answered now. How are they going to choose to play this? Phenomenal leading the fray, actually finding that first kill, despite of the fact that the opponent had to jump on him.
Yeah, Fear Legends, I mean, they're on the defense now, so a lot of responsibility is on their shoulders. WDR finally committing to the A side. That's the first member starting to move in, teleporting out. Trick wants to keep them at bay. The bomb's been dropped. Trans gets a kill as well. And before they can even head onto the site, they've already lost a couple heads. Trick moving right in. He wants to do more damage, wants to stay part of the chaos, but he gets punished for it. Trans gets an additional kill. And it's all very quickly going to be put to rest as Trans gets a triple.
Do you think Trans's agent does well, like, or better on the defending side? Because, I mean, his utility seems more gauged towards holding a position rather than making
Absolutely.
a play.
Like, there's no doubt about it, right? Because if you're playing on the defender side, having the free Sheriff, that's going to allow you to get free kills even when you don't have amazing weaponry. The basically the free operator, or even the supercharged operator, that's going to be much better suited on the defender side because all you have to do is hold an angle. Using the teleports, that works even better on the defensive side because unlike Jet's dash, it's not like you can teleport into a site. Instead, you have to set up, that's how it mainly differs from Jet's dash, right? Where Jet can use it as an initiator, I don't think Chamber is suited to be using his teleport ability as an initiator. And that's probably the big difference, which is why where Jet can kind of work with her dash ability for both the attacker and defender sides, Chamber in particular is probably a lot more defensive.
And I think, you know, his teleport ability especially comes in handy up on this A position where he can oscillate between the heaven and the low ground. So, you know, combine that with his ultimate, the fact that he has a sniper, he can readjust himself to a very deadly position, control all of the site, and prove himself to be quite the menace.
Yeah, I think just by virtue of being able to teleport back into heaven, that would allow him to play off of two very different spots. Very difficult to predict. WDR back onto A. And Trans wants to stick to his trusty Ghost.
He was naded, so he's fallen quite low. The wall is going to provide WDR with a bit of cover. They have gained control of the lamp area, the elbow position, but they need to make something happen. And with them choosing the way, that was not how that was supposed to go.
Yeah, Trans.
Oh, man.
I feel like Trans does this quite a lot, you know, picking up the Ghost when you could very easily pick up an SMG as well. It just further bolsters Chamber's ability to save your economy. I mean, you're not even buying a weapon at all. Great stuff. And now Fear Legends, I think they're in the captain's chair.
Yeah, I mean, WDR, they put up one hell of a fight in the first half, but you know, as you were mentioning, the true story does get revealed in the second half where they have to play up on the attacking position since this is a defender-sided map. And it's really showing because WDR, they're really struggling to go for this execute. Each and every single time they've made an attempt on towards the A short position, they've gotten punished heavily for it.
Time to hunt. Hawk out. Blinded.
Yeah, just constantly trying to run onto the A side, just batter through like a battering ram. I'm not too sure if this is going to work out, but the big difference here is that they have weapons this time around. Two players on the flank, Trick and Criminal. Do they even expect this? 4 members of WDR shivering in their boots right now as the retake ensues. But okay, they can still get the ball rolling because Phenomenal and Zarin, they are starting to mow players down. Cats, nice kill from him. Second one as well. As soon as I count out a team, it seems like they can bounce right back, and this is very much anybody's game right now. And Dexter, he's playing it in close contention so that Judge can be put to good use, but he's only got 45 out, but it doesn't even matter. Double kills from the shotgun, which means that WDR come out on top.
Yeah, Dexter just holding his position over there, waiting for the opportune moment to go in with that Judge finding that double kill. That was necessary. I mean, it didn't have to be necessary because he was forced into that position. I mean, they started off that round 5v2 after the spike phase in that retake position, but Team Fear Legends, they just should not have come that far. And WDR, despite the fact that they won it, should not have made those mistakes.
Hawk out.
Bit of a one-way for Trans. There's no way they don't predict this, right? Oldest trick in the book. Bit slower from WDR. Normally they've always been putting all their chips on just going to the A site, but not this time around. Phenomenal. He wants to be the first one to catch Trans out. They're expecting this to be a commitment to the one-way smoke, and that's exactly what it is. The Hound to sniff out at least one player. Ooh, Trans knows there's a shoulder. Fires off a couple warning shots, but that's about it. 55 seconds, WDR. They haven't made a scratch. Nothing at all, Tultris.
And I mean, 45 seconds on the clock. Okay, so this is the first round on the second half that they're choosing to play it slow. But you can't play it at a snail's pace because Team Fear Legends, they're waiting for you on the other side, and there's 4 of them if you choose to execute onto A, and you need a bit more time to deal with that.
left.
Perhaps rotate on towards the B side, and that's exactly what they're going to do. But there is a player inside the hookah. He has been spotted out, Hats forced to back away, but he's given off information to his team, and the rotations are going to come in now.
Cats is the man that needs to keep things under lock, and he even gets a headshot on the way out. And as the spike is planted, the final player quickly realizes, Phenomenal, that he is all alone. Double digits now for Fear Legends, Tultris, and I think this is panning out in the way we expected it to, but still a bit of a fight from WDR.
Yeah, I mean, WDR, they are putting in a fight, but I mean, that should have been their rounds for taking. I mean, they saw Hats, forced him out. The rotations had not come in, and they had taken control of the site, but when Hats got to shooting, I mean, look at this right in here. I mean, he got the first kill, but then he managed to get a freebie. You know, he managed to come on to 3 players that were on the site, managed to deal a heavy amount of damage to one of them, managed to take out the other, and that's simply not a position where you can play from, because when the rotations do come in and the only player that was available on the site has managed to do majority of the work for you, you're just going to be doing cleanup work. But now again, WDR, they're choosing to execute onto A. Oh, the Wolf actually going to latch on to Dexter. And with only Sheriffs up this eco round, I mean, this looks so tough.
Yeah, just with pistols, I'm not sure if WDR gets anything out of this, but good start to things. Sheriff's already collected a kill, looking for more heads. And in goes the cavalry, jumping straight out of hookah, movement and build. Oh, okay. That's how are you collecting these skills. Catches one out of the air and continues to deliver. Man, this guy is looking super nutty right now, Talha. I know it's just an eco round, but that was crazy.
And that was an ace. I mean, I'm not sure how he's allowed to do this. I mean, sure, like, massive kudos to him for getting that ace, but it's not as if WDR don't have a lot of opportunity to stop him in the first place. I mean...
Yeah, just watch this for a second. Catches one in the air, just like that. It's like swatting a mosquito.
A mosquito with one wing. That would be more apt description, but, you know, as soon as he shot that jet down, I mean...
The raise, yes.
The raise, the information was all there for the rest of WDR to try and make something happen, but they simply were not able to. But now they do have the guns to go forward. They have taken one player out over on Fear Legends' side, and this is their opportune moment. Oh, Dexter has to be careful. He might just get taken out to the Hunter's Fury, but he is going to survive for a little bit. Going to be able to hold his position, stop the player from moving on to the Heaven area, and with that, this looks like WDR might be taking this round as well. Oh, that was nice.
Yeah, that round all really comes down to Dexter moving in, just making perfect use of his movement abilities, making it all the way into defender spawn, and that's something that Trans didn't anticipate at all. I mean, he was rotating to Heaven.
And we saw the desperation over on Fearless's side, right? Twice they tried to take control of the Heaven area. First time they were unsuccessful. The second time, someone did manage to make it up there, but they were quickly shot down by, in fact, Dexter, you know, who simply changed his position. So, well played by him, leading the scoreboard for his team with 18 kills and 13 deaths, but he needs to make more of this happen, and it's not just him. His teammates have to do something as well to pull their own weight. Otherwise, they won't be seeing a game 3.
Yeah, map number 3 seems very unlikely still, but it's not as unlikely as the game's up against Exploit, which is still why I don't think of this as entirely out of the realms of possibility. By the way, guys, if you haven't been paying attention to the banner on the right side, make sure you go ahead and tweet about Galaxy Racer by using the hashtag GamersGalaxy is live to enter a giveaway where you can potentially get $20. You can potentially get $20. So that is for 5 lucky winners.
Or you can go pro in Valorant and you can win yourself 25 lakhs in Valorant.
Or you could not sign up for this, so I get all the giveaways because I'm already doing this.
But, you know, back to the game, they're 7-11. They have a Sage Revive up as well, so that's potentially one round where they're going to be playing 6v5 should they play it correctly. And that can take it to a 3-round deficit. But the absolute crucial thing is that they cannot allow Fear Legends to reach that match point, because that's when the pressure is so high that you do face elimination. But as I said, that Trick does reveal the operator with a nice little kill onto the raise. The duelist for WDR is down, and with no fast entry into the site, they're forced to play this one slow.
Yeah, already their first player being taken away, and Dexter was the playmaker for the squad, but okay, Phenomenal can bring him back from the dead, which means that they're not out of contention anymore. Not to say that they were in the
know that the operator is in play, so they know what they're up against, so they have to play around it. They simply cannot move into the position where the operator was stationed. They have to rotate around, and we're going to see this. They are moving towards the B area. The recon bolt not going to spot out anything, so they have the element of surprise to go alongside it. Phenomenal leading the fray. He is going to make contact with Hats. I'm not sure if Hats saw them, but he has decided to back off from the hookah.
I've got your trail.
30 seconds left.
Yeah, but there's only 30 seconds remaining, and Hats this time, he's not swatting any mosquitoes out of the sky. Instead, he's caught with his pants around his ankles, and it's down to Criminal to keep things close. No, Dexter takes him away, and the spike's starting to get planted. It's Fear Legends playing off of the back foot in a 3 versus 4 scenario. Moving in from elbow.
But Dexter is there at the elbow.
Oh my goodness, he's done it again there, Tultrus. This raise, this man is nutty.
And only Trick remaining. He has the operator, so he has to back himself away because 1v4 with an operator, those are not good odds. And all the guns, they're so far away from him, and this looks like an easy round for WDR to secure. Nice use of the Sage Revive. I mean,
Yeah, if they hadn't done that, Dexter wouldn't have gotten 3 kills. That is nutty. Yeah, nothing. Obviously nothing you can do, but yeah. By the way, guys, sorry if you guys hear me clear my throat or something in between play-by-play moments or something along those lines, because, man, the weather's been terrible. We talked about it a little bit in the first game, and, yeah, the weather hasn't really been treating my throat or Tultrus's throat very well. So just a little caveat you have to deal with. But heading back into the game, Tultrus, there is only a 3-round deficit, 2 rounds for Fear Legends to take the W to qualify for the LAN Finals in Islamabad.
absolutely. And I mean, Fear Legends, they don't have any of those round securing ultimates, right? They don't have the Viper, they don't have the Sage. So really, they're going to be relying on their strategy, and which has brought them to 11 rounds, but they need to make something happen for one more to reach that crucial match point position.
Trick early on, he's already been denied movement onto long, so he has to back off. If he had any idea or any ideas about pushing, they're far gone. WDR, if you look at their position now, they've already gotten the Viper wall deployed, which means they can very comfortably get onto A. But they're still going to have to fight for it. Walking in, Hats hasn't been able to get that early information. He is vulnerable now, and he's waiting for the first kill. There it is, phenomenal in his crosshairs. Can he do more damage off of this? And Trans, with his discount sheriff, continues to deliver. He wants to do more. Fires a couple shots off, not quite connecting. It doesn't matter that he's missing because Trick is there just in time. The knives have been brought out. Catches the kill onto Cap Toxic, and is just 1 member remaining. Dexter, he's done so much before for his team, but now it's a bit too much for him to swallow.
Yeah, you can't expect Dexter to be the one saving your team every single time, you know? That's simply not a position where you want to be, and I mean, WDR, each and every single time they come close, which is pretty reminiscent of, you know, Team Perfectionists up against Team Exploit, where they came so close on some of those rounds, but they simply lost out in a big way. And now with Team Fear Legends up on match point, facing a 4-round lead over their competitors, it looks like, you know, we're going to be, it looks like one of the last rounds, and it looks like we are going to have our second semi-finalist for the main event.
Yeah, they're not too far from it, are they, Tultrus? And Dexter moving right in. The missiles are out, but he misses by a narrow margin. He has managed to get Trans, but he's quickly traded out by Casper. 4-on-4, as Phenomenal is looking for something around the site. Is Aaron getting the spike down? Criminals moving in from heaven. He's missed too much. That could be costly, but at least Trick is there to save the day. Casper playing from heaven. There's just so little information for Fear Legends to work off of, but WDR, they are in hot water as well. So few members remaining. Zarin keeps things in close contention, and Trick has to play the close angles with a sniper. Hats continues to deliver, and there's only 2 members remaining now on WDR. Popping out of a corner, Zarin does deliver. Cap Toxic's now the last member alive. Does he get it? Yes, he does, and he keeps WDR alive for just a bit longer.
Yeah, Casper, I mean, he had a plan. I mean, now the Viper's wall is up as well, right? So they have a potential 1 round as well that they can secure. They'll have to win 2 more at the back of it. And Trick, I mean, time and time again, this was the 2nd round where his teammates have been missing shots and he's been forced to secure his team the kill. But he simply can't do that every time because it forces him into a position where the reset time with that operator is so high that he gets taken out immediately afterwards.
Welcome to my world.
3 lifelines to go, and WDR, they want to keep sticking it to Fear Legends on the ace site. Very comfortable plant. This could be one of their final moments. Cap Toxic playing around the Viper's pit. And Fear Legends, they haven't even scratched the surface of it. They don't even know how to approach this retake. There's players on every single corner. But does Maverick get taken out? Yes, he does. Trick so good with the flick. Astra's abilities are slowing things down a little bit longer, but Dexter, with his shotgun, he can definitely be a massive menace. Zarin takes one out. The players are in close contention, but it's still very doable. Fear Legends, they've wasted quite a bit of time. And as the spike ticks down, I think the call has been made. They want to back off.
They have to back away. I mean, there's very few ways to fight into the Viper's pit. It's just simply, you know, it's just simply too difficult, especially when there's a judge waiting for you inside of the Viper's pit. How do you go in there? But now WDR, they don't have any of those ultimates up. It's Team Fear Legends who, you know, has the Hunter Fury available for them. They have a 2-round lead over Team WDR, and it's still pretty comfortable for them, you know. The danger of overtime has not kicked in because they will have another bye after this. But they have to be careful.
Oof. That can't be a good sign. Criminal getting the first frag.
Oh, they have a free B-site. Oh.
No, that was what are you talking about, Tultras? That's just Fear Legends going for a push and coming back.
That was Fear
It's okay.
Legends.
It's okay. It was confusing. I can totally forgive you for that one, but the meanest broth is being cooked up on the A side, and unfortunately, it's kills after kills for Fear Legends, and Criminal, he's doing so much damage with utility, with a Sheriff, and I don't expect this last member to be able to do anything because Criminal, he stepped up when it was needed most. He might have missed a lot of sprays and whatnot, but no, at the end of the day, it's him that comes out on top, and that's going to be it. A closely contested game, but Fear Legends, they eventually deliver.
And I mean, they came, WDR though, hats off to them for a team that we did not know of, for a team that we had absolutely no idea how they were going to perform. They gave Fear Legends, you know, quite tough competition. Now, I'm not sure if it was Fear Legends who were not playing as good as they're used to, because certainly when they will go up against Team Exploit, you know, some of these strategies have to be worked out a little better if they want to be playing against them.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Daltris, that was quite a bit of a competition from WDR. I would have liked to say that maybe Fear Legends had a bit of a stomp or whatever, but that was only the case for the first map. Instead, we saw a WDR that was definitely capable of even maybe taking down Fear Legends, and, well, that could have definitely eventually culminated into a win, but they fell short just by 3 rounds. Very unfortunate.
Yeah, I mean, we can't take too much away from them. It was just 3 rounds, I mean, but what's more convincing is Fear Legends. They were an organization that wasn't, you know, too prominent in the Valorant scene, but now they have secured themselves the semi-final spot in the form of this 2-0 win over WDR. So they will be joining the likes of, you know, they will be entering the big leagues, you know, where they will be facing up against Exploit. They will be facing up against potentially Salt Esports and Team Arrow. And, you know, I don't know if this was a convincing enough performance to be able to beat some of those teams.
I think part of the reason we really had to look at a game like this is because even though a WDR was expected to lose out this game, it would still act as a yardstick for how Fear Legends would perform in the rest of the tournament. And unfortunately, I'm not too convinced by their performance. Their bind looks super shaky, but there is that little asterisk that we can still hold out a candle for. It's the fact that they were sort of going for these off-meta picks. I don't think Trans would have normally picked up Chamber, and a lot of their loose style of gameplay was probably supported by the idea that they want to save their strats for the finals, because I think every single team in there, they're closely contested enough that just having a bit more information on the other teams, it would probably even net them a map victory or two. So definitely that's something to watch out for. But on pure mechanical skill alone, I don't think they were too far up from WDR. In fact, we saw Dexter fragging out like a complete maniac time and time again. And where Exploit just had crazy individual brilliance, I didn't really see that from Fear Legends on the same spot, although there was some of it there.
Yeah, there was some of it there, but again, it was a bit haphazard. It was not quite as consistent as Team Exploit. You know, when Shooter goes ham, he does it every single round. You know,
Yeah, it's just
he doesn't
raid boss Shooter.
He doesn't give any of it away, and that's really where Team Fear Legends were struggling. In fact, I remember Trons go at it when he was in the VRN squad against Team Exploit over at Infinity Cup, and he did much better against Team Exploit than he did this time around against Team VRN.
Yeah.
Against Team,
Yeah.
against Team
it's okay.
WDR. They're very similar.
I don't blame you at all because I know your brains are mush from all these Pakistani roster shuffles, so you know what? It's whatever. But at the end of the day, it's Team Fear Legends winning it out, so I'm a bit sad to say that we get two 2-0 victories that are completely expected because I really would have liked to see a bit more spice, you know? I wanted to see maybe Underdog's team pick up a map or maybe even make it to the LAN Grand Finals over in Islamabad because that would have definitely created quite a bit of spice. I mean, having to see new faces and knowing that you're up against players that could probably turn up something very unorthodox or players that are very unpredictable on LAN. And nerves and all, and maybe just having a completely different style of gameplay as to the players you've already experienced games against. I would have really liked to see that, but unfortunately we don't get to see that at all. But that was all there was for today, wasn't there, Palos? Any closing thoughts?
I mean, every time I have any closing statements, I always want to say that I really do hope that WDR, they stick together and, perhaps have a bit more fun. If they're a new team, so you can't really expect them to beat the better teams out there. You can't really expect them to beat players who have been playing this game for such a long time, players that have been the best at the game for such a long time. But I do believe that the potential for them is there, so I do hope that they stick around.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's sort of advice to any new team. As long as you've got core members that are roughly the same skill, there's no reason to actually go out of your way and keep switching up lineups because that's not the problem with your lineup. And even if you end up in a lineup that isn't particularly the best, just sticking around for a little bit longer will eventually help you get better teammates in the long run just by being a better team player overall. Even playing with bad players, I think, or even playing with players that are under your level, you're going to learn something from them. So having a team experience as a whole, that's definitely beneficial. So if you're a member of Team WDR watching this, please go ahead and stick around because honestly, that was still an incredible performance. Dare I say a phenomenal one. But bad puns aside, it is time for us to look at the match MVP. And who do you think it's going to be?
I'm not sure. I mean, in fact, it's Dexter who's going to be the MVP. I mean, very well deserved in my opinion.
From a losing team, and he
tried to put his team on his back, tried to carry them as far as he could, and on some of those rounds he had to do it all alone. All of his teammates were dead, so the fact that he was able to do that, the fact that he was able to reach the MVP position, I mean, sure, they lost, right? But so the MVP really does not matter all that much, but it does prove to us, and hopefully it proves to Team WDR themselves that they should stick around and that their roster is definitely better because MVP, that's out of the 10 players right now just from this map alone, he has more fragging potential than Trans, more fragging potential than Trick or Stranger or Hats, and that's quite an impressive feat.
Yeah, that's actually crazy. I mean, Dexter being able to put up numbers like that. And it wasn't even like he was getting low impact frags or anything. He was being a monster with the Raze. He was running around the map willy-nilly, consistently being able to dish out damage, saving them quite a few times, making great use of his resurrection in one of those final closing rounds. And it's a bit unfortunate that we see them fall short. I would have really appreciated them going to the third map and showing us what they're made of. But for now, it's just going to be the big dogs winning out. So, Tultris, if you're in the team, if you're in the shoes of Team Fear Legends, how are you feeling right now? Are you confident that you got into the finals?
I mean, it seems a bit shaky, I do not think that this was a convincing enough performance for me to feel good about going up against Team Exploit. I mean, it might have been good enough to go against Arrow Gaming or Salt Esports, right? But Team Exploit, they're on a league of their own almost, and they do need to step it up quite a bit. I mean, all of the things that we've seen are things that we've seen before. We have not seen them do anything special. We have not seen them upgrade themselves, upgrade their styles of play, show us some strategy that we have not seen from them before. It was all tricks that came from the same old book, and it might not be enough. So definitely, I mean, the LAN finals are a long time from now, right? It's almost around
weeks.
about 2 weeks, right? So that's a lot of practice that they can get into, and I think that's enough time to figure out based on, based on going over how Team Exploit played in the quarterfinals, going over how Salt and Arrow Game are going to play tomorrow. They have enough time for the research, for the practice to actually put up a fight.
Yeah, we do get a chance to look at the stats comparison for both of these teams, and it's not really too much of a surprise that Dexter managed to get the MVP. I mean, Hats was very close in terms of contention, but just by virtue of having so much impact, Dexter, even with 4 fewer kills, he still managed to get the MVP. So really massive props to the guy. And I think I would have liked to see a bit more from Trans, but obviously there is the asterisk of him having picked up Chamber. Very off-meta pick, nobody's really sure how to play him, but at the same time, Tultris, if you're playing a character that is heavily equipped with a lot of weaponry, you would see it, even if you're not having as much impact. I would have really liked to see a lot of frags, even if it was just a window dressed to stats.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely do think that Trans should have been able to do more regardless of the new agent that he picked up. I mean, at the very least, the new agent that he picked up doesn't have a very high learning curve, right? I mean, because he just 2 of his abilities are guns in the first place. So Trans is someone who knows how to aim with the sniper in the first place. So I'm not sure if he, did as well as he did on Icebox. But he should certainly pick himself back up. Perhaps I don't think they've done enough experimenting for the quarterfinals. I do not think that there's any more room for experimenting, especially in the semi-final stage.
Yeah, but I think that about puts a wrap on it, Tultris. So how about we look at the format very quickly, because it's Salt Esports up against Clarity tomorrow, and I think that is going to be such an excellent matchup.
That is...
So far, all the quarterfinals, well, both of these quarterfinals were pretty one-sided, but I think Salt and Clarity, they're probably the most evenly matched up teams in the quarterfinals, so I'm super excited to be checking that out. And after that, it's GotyPeeks versus Team Arrow. And you know what? You might get into the analysis, you might start talking about all those nitty-gritty details, but no, I don't care about all of that. It's the fact that I checked Twitter, and one of the players from GotyPeeks said that if they make it to the LAN finals, they're all going to shave all their facial hair except their mustaches. So I really want to see that.
I want
to see them on LAN, man. Just imagine all the videography, the photography. Just
if I know anything about MSK, I know that's enough of a motivation for him to want to see GotyPeeks in the final.
And he's just giving up. He's just throwing the game.
You guys can have this game. Just shave your heads.
Yeah, just shave your heads, shave your facial hair, and just have mustaches. That's going to look fantastic. But no, all jokes aside, I am really excited to see how Team Arrow has changed over the past couple of months, how Salt and Clarity have developed, how Salt, with their roster changes, with Clarity losing their big brain boy, Dazzler. I really want to see how things are going to eventually unfold, but all of that action is going to be coming up tomorrow, same time, and well, there are going to be a couple of best of threes for us to dissect. Same people as well. It's just going to be Tultris and I going through the details about these games. So any closing thoughts here, Tultris, about the whole thing?
Well, I mean, I just hope tomorrow's match, the first best of 3, goes to a game 3, because Salt Esports and Clarity, that's going to be really, really close. So I think, if you guys are watching, that is one match you cannot afford to miss out on. That should be an action-packed one. And, for us and I have casted a lot of overtimes. I think Salt, when we casted Salt Esports over for Calyx, I think it went to a 3rd overtime. And I think, we can expect something like that for tomorrow as well. Fingers crossed and everything, but hopefully, guys.
Yeah, hopefully. But remember, guys, if you are checking out this tournament, it's a great initiative, right? I mean, I'm sure you guys are enjoying all of this action. I'm sure you guys are super hype about the fact that there are 5 million rupees up for grabs for any of the teams that make it to the grand finals. But you know what's actually key? It's the fact that we need a viewership. So if you are watching this stream, make sure you participate in the giveaway by using the hashtag GalaxyGamers is live. and have a chance to win $20 for 5 lucky winners. And even if you don't care about that, just go ahead and share the stream, because viewership is what matters in esports. And if you want to see the Pakistani esports scene grow, if you want to see it flourish, then that's probably where you want to be directing your attention towards. But I think that's going to be it for now. Tultris, we're going to be signing off. It's going to be the same time, same place, same faces tomorrow as we bring you the next qualifiers.